It is 6 GMT, that is 9:30 a.m. in Iran, where people are waking up to the news that the president, Ibrahim Raisi, has died. Red Crescent search crews have arrived at the site where the helicopter carrying the president and his foreign minister crashed. 73 teams are in the area. That's close by Tawal village. 9 people were on board, all believed to be dead. The wreckage was found in the East Azerbaijan province of Iran. The Red Crescent says crews on the ground have advanced and specialized equipment. They reached the site after an extensive search operation that mobilized 30% of Iran's armed forces. So this is the site of the crash. President Raisi began his journey in the border town of Khor Afrin, near Azerbaijan. From there, he headed towards the city of Tabriz in the northwest. The helicopter went down in a mountainous region near Utsi. Thick fog and rain hampered search efforts in this remote area. Ibrahim Raisi's death brings to an end a career spent at the heart of the Iranian clerical establishment. Russell Serdar looks back at his life now.
Ibrahim Raisi was born to a clerical family in Mashhad, Iran's second largest city and home to the holiest Shia Muslim shrine in Iran. He was 5 years old when his father, a renowned cleric, died. His family's close relations with the clerical establishment helped him climb the career ladder. At the age of 15, he began his studies in the city of Qom, the center of the most prominent Islamic seminary in the country. Among the clerics he studied under was Iran's current supreme leader Ali Khamenei. After the revolution in 1979, Ayatollah Khamenei became Iran's president, and Raisi was appointed prosecutor of the city of Karaj at the age of 20. In 1983, he married the daughter of Ahmed Alam al-Huda, a powerful cleric and representative of Iran's supreme leader in Mashhad. 2 years later, at the age of 25, Raisi was appointed deputy prosecutor in the capital, Tehran. He was one of 4 judges who sat on secret tribunals established in 1988. Thousands of prisoners were sentenced to death and then executed. During a media conference in 2021, he was asked about his role.
All I've done during my terms, always, I've moved towards defending human rights, to confront those who disrupt the rights of people and committed ISIL-like crimes or carried out anti-security actions.
Ayatollah Khamenei, Raisi's main supporter, was elected as the new supreme leader in 1989, and he appointed Raisi as Tehran prosecutor. Raisi's rise through the judicial system was unprecedentedly rapid. In the following years, he became Attorney General. In 2016, the Supreme Leader named his former student Raisi custodian of Iran's wealthiest religious foundation, the Astane Quds Razavi, which managed the shrine of 8 Shia Imam Reza in Mashhad and has vast economic holdings in various sectors nationwide. Raisi ran for president in 2017, campaigning to fight corruption. He lost the race to his fellow cleric, Hassan Rouhani, but the defeat did not tarnish his image. In 2019, the Supreme Leader appointed him head of the judiciary, allowing him to strengthen his relations further across critical institutions in Iran. In 2021, Raisi again ran for president. Prior to the election, the Guardian Council disqualified several prominent reformist candidates who were Raisi's challengers. He won the election uncontested, but the turnout was the lowest since the 1979 revolution. As president, he promised to reconcile the people and the government.
People wanted a government to compensate for damage, restore trust and bridge the gap between the nation and the government. The relationship between those two can always solve many problems.
But in 2022, the Islamic Republic faced the most widespread social unrest since its establishment. Nationwide protests and overseas too lasted 4 months, sparked by suspicious death in police custody of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini. She had been arrested for allegedly violating Iran's mandatory hijab headscarf law. When Raisi took office, Iran's economy was crippled by decades of Western-imposed sanctions. In 2023, Raisi's government attempted to revive the economy and put an end to the international isolation. His government normalized diplomatic relations with regional rival Saudi Arabia and strengthened ties with Russia and China, earning full membership in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and BRICS group of countries. Despite those efforts, Iran's economy remains in crisis, and hostile relations with the West keep Iranians isolated from the international financial system. Raisi was also a member of Iran's 88-seat Assembly of Experts, which selects the supreme leader. Many believe that his growing power in the political and military establishment made him a prominent candidate to succeed Ali Khamenei.
We can speak to Russell live now, standing by for us in Tehran. And Russell, so the focus now very much on bringing the remains of President Raisi and the foreign minister back to Tehran ahead of funerals, I guess.
Indeed, now the rescue teams are saying that the bodies are being taken to the vehicles, to be taken to the city of Tabriz, where President's helicopter was heading toward before being crashed. However, it's going to take time because the terrain is quite challenging there. The weather conditions are still challenging. And now they are going to be taken to the city of Tabriz, and then after Tabriz, perhaps to the capital, to Tehran. But whether whether the burial ceremony is going to take place in Tehran or not is not clear yet. So in 2020, when the head of the Quds forces of Iran, Qasem Soleimani, was assassinated in Baghdad, then his body has been taken to Iran, and he has been also taken to several other cities across the country, and then back to the city of Karbala in Iraq, and then finally he has been buried in the city of Kerman, where he was born. So now we're expecting the state funeral to take place in Tehran, and the bodies are going to be open for the people who wants to pay their respect, and also for the visits of the state dignitaries. However, probably, the most likely, he will be buried in the city of Mashhad. Two reasons for that. First, his political career, his career has started in that city. He was born in that city. And second, that city hosts the shrine of the 8th Imam, Reza of Shia. So it is a considerably important religious center for Iran. And so the expectations are that most likely he's going to be buried in the city of Mashhad. However, as of now, we know that the 9 people who were on board in that helicopter, the president of the country, Ebrahim Raisi, the foreign minister of the country, Hussein Amir Abdullahian, the governor of East Azerbaijan province, imam of the Juma Mosque of Tabriz, and head of the presidential security unit, another pilot, a technician, the co-pilot, and another security guard. 9 people are dead, and their bodies are being retrieved from the site of the crash to the vehicles to be taken to the city of Tabriz before heading toward the capital.
Russell, as we're talking, we can see live pictures from very close to the site of the helicopter crash. Still very foggy there. Pictures breaking up a little bit, but it's still very foggy. And I think it was a lot worse overnight when that helicopter was flying, and then it seems flew into the side of the mountain. And there will be very close scrutiny of that crash site to try and figure out what happened.
Indeed, indeed. So as of now, regarding the technicalities, so we have seen that Iranian officials were primarily focusing on the weather conditions. They were saying that the terrible weather conditions are the primary reason for the collapse, for the helicopter being crashed. So, and also there are some reports about regarding the technical issues with the helicopter. We know that it was quite an old helicopter, and regarding the fact that the Iranian aviation industry has been under the sanctions since decades by the Western world, particularly by the USA, the equipments, the aerial vehicles, helicopters, the civilian passenger planes are quite old, outdated, and due to the sanctions, the Iranian authorities, officials, are not able to replace the old, outdated parts with the modern, updated version. So that is also one of the primary reasons. But we have not seen so far any Iranian official embarking or embracing any conspiracy theory. They have not mentioned even a single time that whether it was a sabotage or there has been an external interference or not. They, from the first minute on, they have focused on the harsh weather conditions, the extreme weather conditions. One of the things also as an update, so now, according to the Constitution, in the case of the sudden death of the president, so the first vice president takes the office. And now the Iranian authorities are saying that since yesterday, the head of the state, the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, has already given the authority to the first vice president, Mohammad Mokhbir. So now he is officially and practically the head of the government and running the state affairs. So that is quite important because of the continuity of the state affairs. Last night, when it was almost obvious that the chances of anyone surviving such an accident was quite slim, the head of the state, the supreme leader of the country, Ali Khamenei, came out and assured the nation that the state affairs are not going to be interrupted. And many people have read that statement as an attempt to prepare the nation for the bad news. And now the authorities are saying that the supreme leader has already delegated, has already assigned the first vice president, Mohammad Mokhbir, to take care of the state affairs, to lead the state affairs as the head of the government. So officially and practically now, Mohammad Mokhbir is in charge of the office of the president. And according to the Constitution, in 50 days, he has to take the country to an election, and the nation is going to elect a new president after 50 days.
All right, the protocol, the Constitution has been mobilized. Ressel Serdar, thank you very much for that. Well, the ripples of this spread far and wide, not least to Lebanon, where we find Zena Hodder, our correspondent in Beirut, who joins us on the phone. So, Zena, any reaction there now?
Well, Iran, of course, a country enjoying a lot of influence and sway in Lebanon. There's still no statement from the Lebanese government or Iran's ally Hezbollah. Now, Iran and Lebanon enjoy ties on the official level and on the unofficial level. Relationships have been described as brotherly, strong, but no doubt it is also because Hezbollah and its allies control political power in this country. But Raisi's death is unlikely to change this relationship. Yes, he is an important figure in the establishment, but he is not the main decision maker in Iran. It is the supreme leader, and it is also the supreme leader who dictates and sets foreign policy. And on that helicopter, another man who died, the foreign minister, a very familiar face in Lebanon, he is instrumental in implementing that foreign policy. He has visited this country numerous times in recent years, especially in recent months, since Israel's war on Gaza. It was a way for Iran to project its influence, to show its role in the conflict. He would hold meetings with Hezbollah officials, hold meetings with Hamas officials, Iran, of course, leading the so-called axis of resistance, all who have open fronts against Israel to help Hamas in Gaza. Now, no doubt you can replace a man, you can replace a minister, but he was also close to the security establishment, and he had a close personal relationship with officials in Lebanon, Hezbollah officials, as well as officials in neighboring Syria. And just a few weeks ago, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's leadership in Syria and Lebanon, they were targeted in an apparent Israeli strike in Damascus, and they too were killed. So no doubt these are all losses, but the supreme leader is assuring his people that nothing will change, state affairs will not be interrupted, and strategic decisions and foreign policy is not expected to change.
Zena, what about the timing of this? Because, of course, geopolitically, the region is in a fair bit of turmoil.
Yes, regional tensions, as well as tensions along the Lebanon-Israel border. Iran's ally Hezbollah engaged in an 8-month confrontation now with the Israeli army. Some have described it as a war of attrition, a low-intensity conflict, but it is steadily escalating. And, Hezbollah owes a lot of its strength, its power, even its weapons from Iran. And Hezbollah does not hide that fact. It does not shy away from that fact. So it is very important for, stability to continue in Iran. especially since, like I said, we're seeing this intensification of the conflict. If there's no deal along the border, some sort of new arrangement, then we could see a wider conflict. And it's not just that. I mean, we have the tensions just last month, the first direct confrontation between Iran and Israel, Hezbollah saying that, or indicating its willingness to engage more massively if there is a wider conflict between Iran and Israel. So it's not just what happens in Iran. This is a country that has projected its influence across the region. So everyone will be watching closely to see whether or not there's going to be a smooth transition in Iran. But most analysts will tell you that the strategic decisions, which still lies in the hands of the supreme leader, will not change. And what we could see is a more prominent role of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards in the upcoming stage.
Interesting. Zaina, thanks for that. Zaina Hodder there in Beirut. Let's head to Amman now, to the Jordanian capital. Imran Khan, our correspondent, joins us there. And Imran, so shockwaves about this around the region. Will we hear anything official from Israel?
It's very unlikely that we're going to hear anything official from Israel. Probably likely lots of comments from political analysts, from perhaps the more far-right element of the government, but certainly nothing official. And the reason for that is there's no love lost between Israel and Iran. They've been loggerheads since 1979, the Islamic Revolution in that country. But what Israel will be doing is watching the transition very, very carefully. Remember, this wasn't just the Iranian president that's passed away, and this the foreign minister as well. They are two key people who have been driving Iran's reactions and Iran's policy towards Israel. So Israel now is going to be taking a look at Mohammad Mufti. They'll know a lot about him. Obviously, clearly, he was the vice president. They'll be looking to see what Khamenei, the supreme leader, does, who he perhaps backs and pushes in the presidential elections, which will take place in about 50 days' time, according to the Iranian constitution. So this now for Israel is about seeing what shakes down and what they're going to have to deal with. But more importantly than that, they'll be looking to see if there's any opportunities here, whether there's a weakness here that they can exploit. Remember, Israel is very good at pushing its own agenda forward, despite the fact that they do blame the Iranians for support of Hamas, the Houthis in Yemen, and Hezbollah.
And of course, all this comes at a uniquely low point in the relations between Israel and Iran, to say the least.
That's absolutely right. In mid-April, there was a direct strike from Iranian territory into Israeli territory. It was very well telegraphed. It was orchestrated. All of the drones that we use and the missiles we use were actually destroyed by Israel's rocket defense system. And that came as a result of the consulate, Iranian consulate, that was attacked in Damascus by the Israelis. That kind of changed the game almost immediately, that attack on the consulate, because it was the first time the Iranians turned around and said, we are going to react at a time of our choosing, rather than using, say, the proxies I just mentioned earlier, the Houthis in Yemen, Hamas in Gaza, or Hezbollah in Lebanon. This was a direct attack. But remember, this goes back decades, since the 1979 revolution, Islamic Revolution in Iran. The Israelis have long blamed the Iranians for going after a nuclear program designed to attack Israel. The Israelis have killed several Iranian nuclear scientists. The Iranians have actually reacted there with attacks on embassies and things like that. But it all used to take place outside of both countries, and that was the deal. But after that attack on the consulate, it all changed. So that's another reason that it won't just be the political establishment that'll be monitoring the transition very carefully. It'll be the military and the intelligence as well. Whether it's going to be a reshaping of any kind of decision-making remains to be seen. The Iranians have already been very clear that nothing will change, that it is business as usual as the caretaker government continues to be put in place.
Imran, thanks for that. Imran Khan there in Amman. Thank you. to Baghdad in Iraq. Mahmoud Abdul Wahid is standing by for us there. Mahmoud, any official reaction from the authorities there?
Well, Nick, definitely Iraqi officials have been among the first officials in the world to react to what they consider the tragedy, as it has been echoing here, according to Iraqi officials. The Speaker of the Parliament, of Iraq's Parliament, saying that Iraq is standing with Iran leadership and with the people of Iran in this tragedy. And Iraq is sharing Iranian brothers and sisters in the Islamic Republic of Iran the sorrow and sadness in this painful tragedy. Also, the Prime Minister of Iraq, Mohammad Shia' Sudani, is saying that Iraq expresses support for the Iranian people and leaders in this tragic incident. Also, the National Security Advisor, Qasim Al-A'raji, paying condolences to the Iranian people, saying and stating that the deceased Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi and Foreign Minister Hussein Amir Abdullahian are major personalities, and they have had major rules in the stability in the region. Now, as Iraqi officials saying that the tragedy that has happened to the Iranian president and the foreign minister, along with their companions, is echoing in Iraq, because they believe that these are major figures in the Iranian establishment, the establishment that has been always a major supporter of Iraq, of Iraq's case, of Iraq's government, of Iraq's institutions. As you know, that many institutions here in Iraq, including military institutions, still look up at the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, at the Iranian president and the Iranian institutions. So the tragedy, as they say, Iraqi officials say, has been echoing here in Iraq, given the fact that Iraq has been a major ally with the Iranian establishment.
Mahmoud, thanks very much. Mahmoud Abdul Wahid there in Baghdad. Well, Iran's constitution says that in the event of